the number one factor that will give us more power on our forehand is racket head speed. Anything that will increase the racket head speed will give us more power. So there are 5 main elements that will help us to generate more racket head speed, which in turn gives us more power. Number 1 is the coil and uncoil using the trunk, so that trunk rotation throughout the swing. Number 2 is the legs, that loading and driving into the shot. Number 3 is the swing, the type of swing we use and how big or how small that swing is. Number 4 is getting the most out of our muscles using relaxation. And number 5 is the weight transfer. So number 1, the coil and uncoil. This means that at the start of the forehand, we're trying to engage the trunk muscles. We want to store as much explosive energy as we can in those major trunk muscles, in particular the obliques, the side abdominal muscles. If we can engage these muscles at the start of the swing by coiling the upper body, this will store that energy. Not only this, but look at what happens with my swing. I'm in that 12 o'clock position, so I'm facing the net in that ready position. And as soon as I can, as early as possible, I'm having that unit turn, that upper body coil. So I can feel a stretch in my core once I start that coil. Now notice where my racket's gone from. This 12 o'clock position to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I can get to 3 o'clock without doing anything with my arms independently. So I don't have to do this with the arms. I can simply coil the upper body and there's a semi-swing already being produced. Now let's talk about relaxation on the forehand. I can still produce a lot of power by forcing and muscling the ball. However, I'm going to get extremely tired at best, and at worst I'm going to have a really serious injury, especially in the wrist, elbow or shoulder. So we want to avoid being tight, we want to avoid being stiff. How can we do this? Number 1, we want to focus on the breathing. The inhale when the ball is coming towards us, and the exhale on the forward part of the swing. This will allow us to then stay relaxed when we're actually making contact. So once again, inhaling and the big exhale on the forward part of the swing. Number 2, we want to ensure that we're not holding the grip too tight. So I don't want my fingertips to end up looking like this. I want them to be relaxed off that grip. By holding the racket in a relaxed way, it allows my muscles of the forearm and the upper arm to stay relaxed. This will then allow the muscles to work more efficiently, but also in the full range of motion. If you think about a stiff muscle, a tight muscle, it is very limited and the range of motion will then suffer. But a relaxed muscle and a loose muscle will then work to the maximum range and allow us to have the most amount of space to build that racket head speed. So we're trying to stay as relaxed as we can on the forehand without losing control of the racket. What we don't want to be doing is being so loose that we end up making contact and the ball's flying off our strings in every direction. We want to still control that ball, but we want to do it in the most relaxed way possible. The other major factor that will help you to really stay relaxed is using the bigger muscle groups. So instead of trying to generate power just from the arm, we're using the core, we're using the legs, we're using the swing, and we're using that momentum that we're creating with the swing to then produce the racket head speed in a relaxed way. And finally, we have the weight transfer. This is, in my opinion, one of the most helpful ways of producing a heavier, more powerful forehand instantly. Now, if we think about the weight transfer, we can still use it with the open stance, but it becomes slightly harder. With the open stance, the power is mainly going upwards. This is great for producing a heavier topspin shot, but it isn't so good for making that flatter, more penetrating forehand. So the ideal way to actually transfer our weight into that shot is by using the neutral stance. This means that in the preparation phase, we're loading up on the back leg. I'm still getting into that power position. Now my body weight is on the back leg. I step forward and I have that weight transfer as I actually go towards the contact point. So it's back leg, front leg, back leg, front leg. When you play someone who gets their body weight behind the ball, you really feel the difference on your racket. It doesn't just feel like a normal powerful shot that just pings off the racket. It feels like you have to overcome their power with your own power. When we have the open stance, the swing path is more vertical. I'm going upwards as I make contact. But with the neutral stance, I'm stepping forward, I'm staying on that ball for as long as I can, and I want my shoulders, my right shoulder in particular, to follow that ball before I actually pivot around the front leg. So in an ideal scenario, it would look like this. Back leg, step forward, and then pivot. Now imagine you're leaning into the shot with your left shoulder if you're a right-handed player. So it's almost like I've got a post going from here to the ground, and it doesn't allow me to then go backwards with my left shoulder. The only way I can actually rotate and come into that shot is if I keep this shoulder on the spot, but the right shoulder and the right half of my body pivots around the left leg, and I end up going into that ball. If you want more help with your forehand, we have a free forehand guide that you can download right away, but you can also join our Forehand Firepower course, and I'll leave the link beneath this video. Inside that course, we're going to cover all aspects of producing a more powerful forehand to turn your forehand into a real weapon. We're going to cover how to get the most out of the coil and the uncoil with your upper body, how to get the most out of your legs, and how to train your legs in an explosive way to then generate that power on your forehand. The ideal swing and each segment of the swing to perfect in order to produce more power. The different ways to stay relaxed and loose on your forehand, which will then keep you healthy and being able to produce that shot time and time again. And finally, how to get our body weight really going into that shot with different drills and different tricks. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, smash the like button, leave a comment down below if there's any lessons you'd like to see from us in the near future. Signing off, Coach Simon from TTT. All the best and see you soon, guys. Take care.